Well, as the thumbnail probably showed, I've taken on another little small engine. First off, it's not on the bench. It is too heavy for me to physically lift up. I was going to buy something to lift it up, but I'm thinking, hold on, if I'm just going to lift this up one time, it's not worth that kind of money. So we're going to be working on the ground on this one, as this weighs probably about 250 pounds. And that's a lot. It took my brother and I to lift it up, versus the other one way in the back there, which is identical to this. Except this one has a story and it has other special features. So, story goes on this one. This is a 1958 Wisconsin AENLD. It belonged on a Wayne street sweeper. And I have a picture of the guy as a child on it. And with the engine before it was taken off. You know, that's probably what the thumbnail was, now that I think about it. But story goes, the guy's dad bought it off of a steel mill up in northern Indiana. They used it to clean the area. And he bought it for pretty much scrap price, he said. And then took the engine off, and that was it. It was sat around since like 55 years now, something like that, 1968, something like that. It was taken off. The steel mill deemed it unusable for them or whatever, past their use. They got a new one, and so he bought it off of them. The good part about this one is this is a fully decked out one versus my other one, the AENL back there. This one is decked out more. Let me tell you. It has a starter generator. Well, it has a generator here, my mistake. It has a generator, but the pulley is missing, but that's not going to prevent us from doing anything. But the generator here is pretty good feeling. Now, I don't know if it actually works or not. I'm thinking this is a 6-volt system. Any generator is technically an electric motor, so you should be able to hook up something like 6 volts to it or whatever, and it should turn over. I'm thinking this is a 6-volt system. Another thing this engine has, its own fuel pump. Now, fuel pumps for these are expensive, so we'll look into that, but if it's just a diaphragm in there that needs replacing some valves, I've got the material to do that. Got a nice Bendix carb, same as the other one, but this one runs off of a coiled ignition, not a magneto. So it should be easier to get going with a coil system and a battery. Now, you can convert these over to 12 volt to run, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing here, because 6-volt batteries are expensive as hell for one-time use also. Has 2 nice pulleys on it back here. Yeah, there's your exhaust. 2 nice pulleys. And as you can see, there's a lot of drilling that went on to balance this back in the day. Electric start. I have already tried this with the 6-volt. It did turn over the engine without the spark plug, but I'm thinking this is a little down on its luck right now, but it spun. You can see it's still kind of stuck in there. If you look down in there from the last time I tried to start it. There it goes. So, but the engine has compression. That's good. Drain and oil fill. It is a heavy Haas. This was 9 horsepower rated. This engine has been bored 40 over from factory. And I would presume, even with an air filter, it's still at a steel mill being run and kept stuff clean. It sucked in some steel particulate and was scoring up the bore, or it just ran non-stop. But it is confirmed that it was 40 over, so no need to worry about that. I'm thinking the inside of it's pretty clean still, but these are notorious for having sludge at the bottom of them, so we may have to pull an oil pan. But we're going to be working on the ground on this one, because I can't put up on the bench, because also it's on the bench. Carb kit is not arriving for a few more days, so that's just sitting there. But I don't know if that video is going to come out before or after. We will find out on that one. Either way, yeah, I've got plans for that still. But we're on this. That battery's dead, meaning I got to use the battery out of that one, because that one I can exchange and stuff. I may need to keep it just a good 12 volt laying around. It died sitting in the other lawnmower I had, and it was whatever. But lots of stuff and everything. But one good thing I did do ahead of time here, I ordered parts. So what we have here, we have a carburetor rebuild kit. We have an internally resisted coil, meaning I don't have to run a ballast. This will provide 9 volts. To it. It'll get 12 volts to it, and it'll 9 volt or whatever. So it's not going to burn up the points. So 9 volts, which that's pretty simple on these. You just run. This goes out of the coil, the negative side of the coil, I think it is. And if you know how coils work, you'll understand that. And the point's open, collapses magnetic field, it goes through, collapses the coil, and has to put that charge somewhere, and the spark plug is it. So it should be a lot easier to do. But so we've got a carb kit. We've got a carb kit that I don't have any points, but I'm pretty sure these are cleaned up. I bought a starter relay, and probably completely wrong type of wire. That kind of wire. I had a starter button. What'd I do with? Oh, there it is. It's inside this one. And a starter button to help with everything out here. So that, put those. This comes with all the connectors. Even though this is 8 gauge, it's fine wire, but the price was right. It might do the job. Starter, that, and that. So we have the makings here of everything to get this going and make it happen. So we're going to be spending a lot of time on the floor. I probably should have grabbed something soft to sit on, but either way, I know it has compression. I know the starter turns over. I just don't know how it does on 12 volts. I'm kind of iffy putting it on there, but we'll see. Any 6-volt batteries that are worth a damn to crank over, they are, like I say, they're like $70, $80 to crank. Even though the Pooch uses a 6-volt, it isn't, the load kind on it is not meant for cranking, because that's a kickstart bike. It's meant more for just supplying power to lights and stuff. You know, when you crank it over, it provides spark, and then after the bike's running, it continues to provide, you know, its system provides ignition and lights and whatnot. And when the battery starts running low, from what I've experienced on that one, it will provide ignition and everything. It starts charging, so the charge system works on that. But it's not enough to really crank. It's enough to maintain. So we're gonna have to try the 12 volt out of that to do that, or even the old Yamaha here. So that's a closer reach also, but a more expensive battery. But it can turn, that could turn over 1100 cc. Should be able to turn this over. But I'm yammering, so we're gonna have to figure out. I've got a lot to do. I'm trying to figure out where to start on this whole thing, but I guess knowing if we can get the starter to turn it with compression is going to be the first. I've got the spark plug out of it. I've got everything grounded, hooked up to, you know, the $40 truck battery, not the $70 motorcycle battery. So let's see how well the starter works. I'm thinking this is a 12 volt crank or something like that, because that's cranking like it should. So me's thinking I might have got this correct, but I was reading where it's supposedly, you know, a 12 volt setup. And I already oiled the cylinder up and everything ahead of time. I did that a week ago when I went to get it. I just kind of wanted to look over and order parts ahead of time. So let's see how well. I don't know what my plans are for this, other than it was just a cool Wisconsin engine and the price was right. You know what I mean? So let's see how well the compression is on it. Really good compression, it bumps back. So that's good. There we go. Starter needs a little tiny bit of love. It's not hot by any means. So I'm thinking it's handling 12 volts just fine, and it's gonna have to handle 12 volts just fine. There's no getting around that. So let's get it disconnected from back here without shorting out the work. Ooh. Jumper wires are a little warm. The whole length are warm. Yeah, so she was pulling some current there. Well, that's good. That means we've got a good starter to turn over. It might have been a 12 volt. It might have been. Yeah, them jumper wires are warm. Holy shit. But I was cranking her over for quite a while. I'm kind of questioning if those 8 gauge wires are going to hold up, but we're going to find out if they do or if we're going to be smoking down the place. We're going to have to get a fire extinguisher, but that tells me what I need to know on that. So now I need to rig up a starting system, like the whole solenoid and shit like that. I'm trying to figure that out. I need to mount this onto a piece of wood and everything, but I'm getting ahead of myself here. I know ignition is a big thing. I'm going to check for oil, which I probably should have done first, but, you know, it is what it is, right? Let's go ahead and check that oil. Came off pretty nicely. Well, there's... Oh, okay, there you go. Low and full. So let's see where we're at here. We are on nothing. But I mean, there was oil on the stick when I was cranking it, so we need to put a little bit of oil in her. I think I've got some up here. Yep, SAE 30. I'll be dipped. Dang, and they even made it to where you can dump it in. I know. I was thinking about checking for sludge, but this thing barely has any time running on it, and there's no oil in it. So I'm kind of going off of the feeling of that over 55 years of sitting, oil going out of it, but less than 10 hours of runtime on it, there's not going to be anything because it was completely rebuilt, put back together. And 40 over tells me it's been done a few times. I can't imagine just going straight to 40 over, but there's been weirder things that have happened. She got oil. Probably way too much, but that's alright. Anything, it'll just burn it all off. It doesn't know where it wants to read. Plus the stick is hitting all the sides of the walls and everything are still oil clung, but that'll do. That'll do. Hopefully that battery will hold out on cranking, but now we've got oil in it. I guess what I could do is try to re-crank it over here real quick. And we can go from there. No! We could build a starter relay setup real quick, and I can figure out how to mount that. I'm not very smart at this. Alrighty, so I've done some time with wiring here. This is my relay starter board. Yeah, maybe it'll be universal for other things. So, how do these work? Real quick, without that happening. Tighten some stuff up here. Nope, that's not the correct adjuster. Oh, that is. Alright, so, how do these starter relays work? 101. You have a battery side. You have the output side. This is nothing but a giant contact in here, electromagnet. You got to hook it up to a power source and ground. This is your ground on your relay. So I have this grounded all the way to the engine where there's a ground at. You know, that'd be the frame of your car or something. You know, for instance, where this would be bolted to. I've got it on a piece of wood. Cool. You need an exciter for this. So you got your ground. You need a power. And this is just a low voltage, just to excite the magnet to put two contacts together in there. So what it is, I've got it hooked up to a positive side of a battery around in here for a switch. This is a 30 amp switch right here. Way overkill for this, but perfect for it. Starter. It's a starter button. Switches, puts that voltage all the way through on the S side, the start. That causes the voltage to happen, contact to close, and thus connects this to this, you know, like you sitting there smacking, bypassing. When they bypass relays with a screwdriver, this is what they're kind of doing, or, you know, whatever. So they're bypassing it. So now,
When those connect inside there, voltage from here, current, whatever you want to call it, here goes to here, all the way from your starter, from that all the way to your starter, and you're already grounded. So that's how it works. So when we go ahead and we push this, theoretically, it should turn over. No, look at my camera stand's being dumb. So watch the engine there. We'll go ahead and we'll push our awesome button up here. Maybe we'll just get everything in view here. I have terrible cameraman skills this evening. Further back. There we go. So we push our button here. Mind you, you can make wires that go from here to your battery stuff. I'm just using jumper cables for easy simplicity, for portability. But press it. And you have a starter. There you go. The wire's holding up. It'll hold up for a little bit until it doesn't, but it is what it is. It says A gauge made for it, but it's more, I think, speaker wire. So either way, it's working fantastic. So now we have a starter set up. The next thing we need is ignition. What does the I stand for on this? I have no damn idea. No idea whatsoever. Maybe it's an ignition for starting, but we're just going to bypass that with a switch of its own or something on here. You know, I'll put another switch on here for ignition, click, start, whatever. I mean, you could use a key start. That would be probably the smartest thing to do, but for now, that's my starter board for this. We're going to go from there. The points are the next thing. Like I say, you hook up power to them because we're grounded right here. So power would come from the coil. Now we have to figure out the coil setup and everything. So if I put a switch for the coil, everything, there's start, you know, that's where a key switch would have made life easier. But I could put a switch real quick for just starting it or whatever, click on, put the coil to have power. It's got to, you know, it does its own kind of things and stuff like that and whatnot. But it just has positive that runs through it. There's some simple diagrams online how to wire them up and everything and so on and so forth. It's not too bad. It's not honestly too bad and everything. So, but anyways, got to wire up more stuff. All right, in here, real quick, we're going to see if there's a condenser or what's going on. I can see there's a wire undone here. I have no idea how they were mounted for these. I can see that fuel line is going to be a bugger head to me. I'll just slide that down. Behind this cover should be the points. It is the points. But we need a condenser. Thankfully, I've got tons of those laying around. I'm looking at one up there right now. So I've got condensers, so I will have to wire up a condenser to this. And how that works is pretty simple. So this is hooked to your points. Your condenser hooks to, how is this? It's easier to see it and everything. It's easier done than said. But your points are hooked to ground. Everything's hooked to ground. Gosh, I'm trying to explain this. I'm so stupid. This hooks to your negative side of your battery cable. Okay, so this hooks to your negative side of your coil. My bad. Negative side of your coil. So does your condenser. They all hook into right here. And what it does is, whenever your magnetic field collapses, what it does is the condenser puts out a giant charge. It allows, I guess, a backfeed, if you will, to happen. And it backfeeds, goes into the coil when the field collapses, and causes an ignition to fire off. There's lots of physics going on, but shows I need a condenser. And do the points actually open up or not? I already took apart my starter button setup. I can see when they're supposed to, but I think somebody's a little rusted together. Come on, sweetie. Did it open or not? I'm having a hard time seeing. I got to pull this spark plug out real quick.
1 week wait. Oh my goodness, I can't talk. 1 week later, I am back. All right, so break down what I have done. I have installed the coil. I have got it all wired up, a condenser that you have to ground the outside of it to a body. So I've got it zip tied to this strap for the coil, which is hooked directly to a ground. The points on this, I was fumbling last time to think about them. Because this is a battery powered one, it only closes them momentarily to charge the coil and everything like that, condensers, and then breaks open at the moment needed for spark, and then it just stays broke open. There's no need to be constantly charging the coil on it because it's a distributed system. So, and I presume the way I would, think that, but I'm pretty sure it is. The way they have it set up is where the compression of this will have it to where the points stay open, where you're not going to burn points up and stuff. But I have it disconnected. So, what do I do? We got the coil, I got the wire with this worst electric tape on earth, but it's all there. So we've got everything wired up here, as ugly as it looks. Original wire from the points all the way down there. This yellow one's a kill wire. You hook it to ground and it grounds everything out. Magic happens. Yeah, it stops. Got the muffler bolted up. My starting board and the engine attached to this fine 1,000-pound Harbor Freight moving dolly. And this engine weighs approximately the mass of 3 suns. So lifting that up there, that sucked. I had one good lift in me. Other than that, it was scooting it around. So 1 wood screw holding it on. God have mercy on its soul down there. But everything's clearing. And what I'm holding here is the washer for the... Better yet, we'll put that exactly where it wanted to fall last time. Just right there. So I've got everything hooked up. The eye on this is supposed to be for ignition. I thought it was like a 12-volt out according to what some diagrams were showing. You just hook that to your coil. I did that, and after cranking, you get nothing. So I don't know unless that's ignition, rotational for ignition or something. Or either way, when I would rotate it over, I'm going to get ahead of myself here. Ignition was happening during rotation, but not when you let off the button. So I just hooked it directly to here, and we can ground it out there with a switch. So you got to unhook your power source, at least, try not to burn up the coil. But internally resisted, as I probably already mentioned. We've got everything is hooked up in this big-ass mess. So we'll go ahead. We're going to show you guys. We're going to hook our... Don't ground it out, because you touch it to that, you're going to ground. So got our power, we've got that. We're looking at our spark plug there. When I let off, we still have spark. It doesn't pick it up very well on the camera. So, but we have ignition. So we are ready for some fuel. See if this thing is going to breathe life for the first time in 55 years. Let me get that spark plug replaced back in there real quick. Had to go look at the other engine. Earmuffs are on, so talking loud. So back is faster, forward is slower. So wide open here for a sec to... This is an updraft carb, which is dumb. And the other tube to rotate it is gone, so we'll go ahead and see what we get for the first time in who knows how many years. There, we'll just do that. Wish it luck. Well, wish it some kind of luck, I guess. Just choke it all the way off, I guess. Hey! Well, let's choke. One more hit. Has to pull that updraft. That's weird. It's got a lot of oil in the cylinder.
Probably. Let's full choke it again. Ha! Open her up a little. Put our fuel bottle right here. Sounded pretty good through the earmuffs. I have to say, it sounds freaking amazing. That sounds amazing. She runs so smooth when she's going. Got the choke taken off there. I just can't believe it. Well, I got to. I mean, but it sounds freaking amazing. She's just purring. Purring right along. Thank God I put the muffler on. That would have been unbearably loud. That is... she sounds fantastic. I do have a carb kit. I was trying to see if the fuel pump was working. I didn't feel any suction going on. But it's probably as hard as to be, and I didn't even try to soak it in anything. I would have to sit there and try to run it again, undo the fitting on it and everything. But that the battery was not liking that one, cranking over. It takes a heck of a battery to crank this. But it is a 12 volt. But yeah, she was just running fan-frickin-tastic. I am glad I put that on a stand and not just beating up the concrete in the bottom of the engine. That would have sucked. I should have hooked up the ventilation system for that. Well, I should have done. I could have kept going, but now I know what to do for next time. Now we know it runs. And the ventilation system will fit over fantastically, too, for next time. Of course, I have the garage air conditioned, and it's smoky as hell in here, but... Alright, well, I've got to... I guess the goal of this was to see if it was going to run and everything, but... Do you want to see me rebuild the carb or not? Because I'm running short on time today. I might do it off screen. I have another one. I'll put a link in it at the end to that one. But we know this one will run. I just haven't figured out a use for it yet, but it does and everything and stuff. And like I say, I might tackle the fuel pump and the carburetor and another system, like a fuel system video and everything for these. Try to make my own, because new old stock pumps, which are down here, $122. I have the material to do diaphragms in the house, or actually somewhere out here. I think I left it in the house for reasons, keep it in temperature control. But I mean, she runs fantastic, and I started taking the choke off of it so that it would, I wanted to see how well it would go and everything. I do wonder if it actually is pumping fuel. So what I could do is crack this line over here and see, put a little bit of fluid down it. I know. Oh no, it's not a line wrench. It'll be fine. Crack this line, put a little fluid down inside of it, like a healthy dose of oil, like heavy oil and everything, to see what we're going with. I can't even find my oil. There's my oil can. So what we'd have to do, put a heavy dose of oil down the inlet. I don't know, you guys seeing this? Oh, no, of course not. Heavy dose of oil down the inlet. And then we'll drench it with some gas. Fill her up with some gas. We'll restart it here real quick. And if it starts pumping out, then we're going to have a hellacious mess. So, yeah. Start it up just for the second. But, alright, let's do that here real quick. Where's my earmuffs? There they are. Hung them up in the wrong spot. Let's see what we can get going here. Spritz in there. So these are updraft carburetors, so you can't flood the engine with them. That's the good part, but God bless it, I did it again. So we can get you guys over here this time for it. We're going to be looking right down here at that outlet. Clock this correctly so that the wire isn't on the exhaust. Not that it's going to run long enough here for a moment to... Battery's not having it. It doesn't show signs of wanting to have it, whatever it may be. Or the starter could be getting weak. I gotta put it on the charger. Bless it. I guess as a proof of concept, all I need to do is just turn it over to see if it pumps. So I took the spark plug out, which, by the way, is the one that it came with. I didn't tighten all that stuff down properly. Oh, look, it's trying to spark everywhere. Yep, it'll do that. She'll do that for you. I don't think the fuel pump's any good. I guess you could backflow it. That's another little trick you could do. Try to backflow it and see if that will, like, bring the diaphragm back to life and magic happens. But I'm talking about using WD-40 and stuff like that. I'm like, we'll just use what I have readily available. Take the spark plug 7 miles away. Oh, it is working! It is trying to work. Ah! The fuel pump does work half-assed. I guess, if that's what we're going for the term to use. I guess I should try to fill it with WD-40. Yeah, that's working out great. Let's go for this hole. Get your mind out of the gutter, everybody. We all like a good joke. Yeah, there's our two-stroke coming out of it. That is our two-stroke fluid coming out of her. Excellent. So, the fuel pump does work now. I'm going to put a bunch of WD-40 down her. I'm going to try to just let her sit. This is literally what I'm going to do. And bring that diaphragm back to life. Some people like brake fluid, and I'm like, no. No, this will work. But revitalize it, and... But yeah, that is our 2-stroke gasoline mix coming out of there, so that's good. We can circulate some of that through. That'll be excellent. It's pumping. We're in business on that, so we just gotta do carburetor stuff. Mind you, I watch other YouTube channels where people work on cars and stuff because, you know, it's boring always just making content and not watching. Or they go to like O'Reilly's, AutoZone, and all those parts places, get a Chinese, what do I look for? Fuel pump, and it goes out within like 500 miles, and it shits the bed. And here I've got something from 1958. It probably been a replacement pump, but hasn't run in 55 years. Hadn't seen fluid in that long, and it's just pumping away, able to pump away. So yeah, all right. I guess what we will do is end this video here, and we'll tackle the carburetor another day. I'm kind of curious if the carburetor is actually any good on it. I mean, the conditions were stored decently. What do you guys think? Just try to hook up a fuel system to it real quick. I mean, it's pumping. I don't know where I'm going to put the damn... Oh, wait, my tank's being used right now by something else. Yeah, we'll come back to this and do a carburetor rebuild on it then. I've got the whole kit, and the kit I'm going to use is just... I'm not going to use the floats and stuff inside of it. I'm just going to end up using the gaskets, more or less. That's all I need. The original jets, I'm still going to keep using them. That would be dumb to swap out for Chinese jets. They're generally either under or very oversized. They're never dead on of things. So let's connect our power here. Hook it to our board. So, all right. Say, you want to see the carburetor video on this? Let me know. I was just kind of doing a proof of concept if it runs. I don't know what to use it on. So it doesn't have a governor on. It does have a governor, but it doesn't have an adjustable. Like generally, some of these were meant like the one in the back there. It has an adjustable throttle where you set it and it stays there via the governor. This one, I would presume it's had something like that going on. It was on a street sweeper like the thumbnail showed. So I need a source of pulley to see if the... I do have one up there, but I don't know how to fit it on. That's something I'd have to sit and think about forever. But I'd have to see if I could find... I have to ask the Wisconsin guys about it. See if somebody has something. Because I want to know if that generator works down there and whatnot, but... This is where we're going to wrap it up. We know the fuel pump works. It probably works on the carburetor, but who knows after all these years of stuff like that. I got to get the battery charged anyways on that. So, and it's Sunday. I got to get the video edited, uploaded. I spent yesterday with the wife for her birthday at the George Strait concert in Indy, so that's why I'm kind of not doing everything on this one. The chainsaw is coming next. I finally got the carb kit in the mail, and it will be the video after this. So I got to get that carburetor rebuilt, and yeah, so I just want to say thanks for watching. You like what you see? Like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, super thanks to Jeff for selling this to me. It means a lot to be able to get something running again after the first time in 55 years easy. It means a lot. So then, thanks for watching, everybody.